Good evening, everyone. I am back from my little trip up north, and I decided I want to do something a little bit less serious today, though it is kind of important to look at. And, well, let's just say that part of the reason why I want to do that is there's a lot of wacky news going on, and there's also some very, very, very serious news. And for those of y'all in either New York City or Nolens or any of the areas that were severely affected by Hurricane Ida, I wish you all the best. My prayers are with you, and I hope that the effects on you and your family were as minimal as possible, and I hope y'all are safe, sound, and secure, okay? Because it's important that y'all are doing well in this time. Anyway, so let's get into this. Let's actually get into some of the news that's been going on in the nation. And California recall is very interesting, though it does seem like the Democrats are finally starting to bridge that enthusiasm gap. We'll see if it matters. Early vote looks, well, what you would expect from California, so there's that. As everybody knows, Herschel Walker declared for the U.S. Senate down in Georgia, and no serious handicapper is going to say that he's going to lose the primary. There's a lot of people who are very serious handicappers who also, in the same breath, will say he won't win the general. And there's a lot of people saying that Georgia's voting base is a lot different than it used to be, and don't expect Herschel Walker to win based off of his heroics in college football. Like I said, don't underestimate the college football vote down in the Deep South, particularly in rural areas. It's going to drive out a lot of people who maybe haven't been involved in politics before because they know Herschel Walker, they know he's a legend, they know he's a beast. We'll see if that matters. Obviously, there's an unmitigated shit show going on in Afghanistan. And a lot of people on the Democratic side are trying to pin this on Donald Trump for saying, well, we need to pull out of Afghanistan and we need to do it soon. And then, of course, negotiating a withdrawal with the Taliban. But then again, Biden set a completely unrealistic pullout date and then reversed and said, well, okay, we're not going to leave until every American is out of Afghanistan. And that includes anyone who helped the U.S. during the war over there. Well, Biden, that one's on you, because there are still potentially thousands of Americans trapped all over Afghanistan, particularly in Kabul. And that includes, again, Afghan allies. So, Biden, you failed there. You also didn't pull out in the correct way, because guess what? We basically gave the Taliban almost $100 billion worth in expensive, technologically advanced military gear and weapons and vehicles and armor. One of the best jokes I've seen about this whole thing on Twitter was, who had the worst withdrawal, Hunter or Joe? The one I went with was, this has been the worst pullout since Billy Ray Cyrus. Anyway, so that's going on, and of course the redistricting battle is ongoing, and I'll be doing a few more serious videos now that that is finally put into the website, and they're continuing to hammer out trying to get most recent election data out there, putting it into composites, all that stuff. So, yeah. I decided I wanted to have a little bit of fun. I'm going to get rid of the precinct lines. And what we're looking at is something that will not happen, should not happen, and is a horrible abomination. But this is what might happen if North Carolina decides to bring back its most egregious gerrymander, which hilariously at one point was upheld by the courts before it was struck down. And that's, of course, the very, very famous one that had the North Carolina 12. Now, unfortunately, I can't do it the same way because Charlotte has just grown. North Carolina in general has grown too much. But Charlotte takes up a lot more of the 12th, and it won't go over to this town right here. Let me put it on the background map and turn that off and that off. Yep. Okay. So it won't go to Winston-Salem. It'll split Greensboro. And Winston-Salem goes into the new, I want to say that's the 13th, which goes all the way from Winston-Salem down and around Raleigh, Durham, all the way down to Fayette-Nam, and help split that district up. And then, yeah, okay. And then you have this other district here. It's an 11-3 map. But when I say it's an 11-3 map, it really is an 11-3 map. At worst for the GOP, this is a 10-4 map. Because there's only one data set where this district goes for a Democrat. And to be fair, it is the election. I think it's not the election you'd expect. Asheville split by this district, which I want to say I should label these. There we go. Okay, that'll help. The 10th, I tried to keep districts where they were in that original gerrymander, but some of it didn't quite go. For example, the 5th wound up actually putting the 6th completely out, so I just moved the 6th over to here. The 3rd didn't quite, yeah, it's not a perfect map, but, you know, it is, with regards to that. And, of course, North Carolina adds a district, so I put the 14th doing some craziness as well. But like I said, this one actually holds. But I think that goes more to show that the Democrats have pretty bad political geography in North Carolina. Obviously, you could make a much more fair map by having a big old district up here that votes blue, as well as a district here, a district here that is blue as well, and then a district in Charlotte that's blue, and that would be pretty decent. But let's go. I'm just going to focus on federal elections, not state ones, except for gubernatorial races. And this is the one where the 8th flips. I mean, obviously the 14th, 1st, 2nd get more competitive, so do these for that matter. 9th, I think, specifically. And I'll even show the lieutenant governor ones. But this shows just kind of how solid this map is. And I'm pretty sure that if you really wanted to try, you could draw a 12-2 map, but I'm not entirely positive. Moving back to the 2016 elections, you can see North Carolina has kind of trended. And then we go to president. And yeah, of course, suburbs aren't going to like Donald Trump. But But this would be a very creative way to chop up North Carolina, but at the same time, it's also not guaranteed to produce all the results. And again, this just kind of goes to prove that when it comes to the composite, North Carolina has a pretty decent composite because elections don't tend to be dramatically one way or another for the most part. Now, let's also ignore the population deviation issues. This was just kind of a draft, and it's not perfect, and I wound up missing a few counties. Not counties, but a few precincts, and had to just stick them in a district. But yeah, that's I don't, like I said, I don't think the Republicans are going to go for this. Number one, the courts would strike it down immediately because it's a pretty blatant racial gerrymander, and courts aren't too happy about that. Even Republican courts are not happy about that. Like, Supreme Court would strike this down, and it's, yeah. But the point is that you don't have to do it like this. You could do it in a much more normal way. And you know, it's North Carolina, just the Republicans have it too easy when it comes to redistricting, to be frank. And the fact is the governor can't veto it. But anyway, that is going to be it for today. Likes, comments, subscriptions, they always do help. Please feed the algorithm for likes and comments and all that just stuff. And subscriptions, well, I'd love to reach 1,000 by the end of the year. We're approaching 900, which is something I didn't really think was possible a few years ago. So, thank y'all seriously for that. Hope to see y'all next time, and take it easy until then. Bye-bye.